Okay, so my name's Natalie Gordon, and I am a school trust specialist with the State Board of Education. And I'm excited to talk with you guys about why we have school community councils and what their roles are. Okay, I just muted you all, but you can still hear me, right? Yay! Okay, so school community councils. The legislature created school community councils. This is the most important thing for you guys to remember. It's schools.utah.gov.schoollandtrust. This is our website. So, could you guys see my website or can you just see my PowerPoint still? Share web browser. Okay, so this is our website. Karen, will you unmute yourself so you can answer my questions?
Yes.
Okay, can you see the website?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, so this is our website and it's just full of a ton of great resources. So as we are going through the PowerPoint today, when I have something to mention about the resources on the website, I will come over to the website. So okay, so why do we have school community councils? That question is actually answered in state code. The reason we have school community councils, one of the reasons is to increase public awareness of the school trust. Because that's one of the purposes, I'm going to spend just a few minutes letting you guys know about the school trust so that you can have increased awareness of it. When Utah became a state, the federal government kept tons of land to be held as federal land, and that land couldn't be taxed. So to make it up to the state, they gave us 1/9 of that land back, but they didn't give it to us just to own. They gave it to the state to hold in trust for the K-12 schools. So if you look at this map, all of the sections that are blue, you can see are the school trust lands. They're scattered all around the state. Some of them are bunched together. So why do we need to increase awareness of the school trust lands? Well, in 1983, the school permanent state school fund, that's where the money from the trust lands goes. Because it's a trust, they don't spend the principal, they invest it and they only distribute the earnings. So in 1983, after 100 years of statehood, there was $18 million in the permanent state school fund. Now, the revenue off of that to go to public schools was minimal. So one thing that increasing awareness has done is this year, the revenue in that exact same fund is $2.3 billion. And the reason that's important is because all of us have a reason, because we serve on a school community council, to want this land to be managed in a way that it will make revenue for the schools. And then that revenue will be distributed through the school land trust program. So that the schools make revenue is from the the way the land makes revenue is from the School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. They were set up in state code by the legislature to manage the land, and their only goal is to make money to put in that permanent state school fund. They manage the land in a lot of different ways. There's mining, there's oil and gas, there are surface leases, there's development, both residential and commercial. A lot of solar leases have been going in lately. Any way that land can make
Can any of you hear me, even though you can't hear Natalie?
I can hear you.
I can hear you, but not Natalie.
Okay, I think we lost connection. She'll probably be coming back on. Sorry, you guys. This is a new experience for us.
Okay, so you still
texted her
can't
to
hear
let her-
me.
I can hear you
I
now.
can hear you now.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Okay, so one of the reasons that school community councils were created was to involve parents in decision making at the local school level. So as a parent or an educator or an administrator serving on the council, remember that that's one of the purposes for local decision making to have parental input. The legislature had 3 ways that they used to empower parents when they were creating school community councils. The first way is that the chair of the council must be a parent. A lot of councils, because it's easier or because the principal is more confident, they have the principal create the agenda and also chair the meeting. But the legislative intent was that the agenda would be put together by the chair, who is a parent, and that parent would chair the meeting. So the chair of the meeting must be a parent. The council must have a 2-parent majority. So if you've got a principal and 3 educators on your council, you need 6 parents to have a 2-parent majority. Parents have that majority because the legislature wanted to empower parents to help with this decision making. The third way we know that parents are empowered is because the parents are elected by the other parents. So the parents are not selected by the administration or the faculty and staff. The parents are elected only by the other parents in the school. Another reason for school community councils is to improve education through collaboration with parents, school employees, and that includes the principal, and your local school board. Everything that your school community council does is advisory to your local school board. Lots of people are leaving. Is this not working or is it working okay?
No, it's working all right.
Okay, everybody stop leaving. You're giving me some kind of, like I'm now getting nervous. Okay, so educational collaboration with parents, school employees, and the local school board. The local school board oversees school community councils and the School Land Trust program in your district. Another purpose of school community councils is to prudently spend the School Land Trust program distribution. Let's talk about that distribution. The first year of the School Land Trust program was 2000-2001 school year. That year, $4.5 million was distributed from a permanent fund that had about $53 million in it. That ended up being $10 per student on average for every student in the state. This past year, $83 million was distributed, and that ended up being $133 average per student. So that's something that you as a school community council member get to participate in, and that is making sure that these funds are spent. So who serves on a school community council? Let's take a look. Council membership must include parents, school employees, and the principal. And we talked about it earlier. You have to have a 2-parent majority. So if you've got the principal, the smallest size council you can have is the principal, 1 other school employee, and 4 parents. There are schools that choose to have a greater majority for parents than 2. There are schools that choose to have a lot of school employees, so they need to have even more parents. The size of your council should be in your rules of order and procedure, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So how does a school community council work, and how do they spend that trust lands dividend? The first thing the council does is review school-wide assessment data and determine the school's most critical academic needs. I am going to lower my list of participants. Hey, there's 37 of us. Hello, everybody. If your school has ever reviewed school-wide assessment data to determine critical academic needs, raise your hand in your participant list. You guys know how to do that? Just click on it. Erin, Cindy, Jandy, Chantel, that's awesome. I love to see that your schools, this makes me so happy because this is something that sometimes gets skipped. If there's someone on the council that has an agenda, sometimes they say, this is really what we want to do with it. And they do that without reviewing the assessment data first. And really, that data review is required to identify the school's critical academic needs. One of the great things about this program is that it's locally controlled. And so Bountiful High's needs are going to be different than Monument Valley's high school's needs. And the way we figure out what those needs are is by reviewing the data. Okay, I'm hiding the participant list again. So after you review the data, you work with the principal on the teacher and student success plan. This is a new plan. It's only 2 years old. A lot of districts are still calling it the school improvement plan. The difference is in the past, the school improvement plan was created by the council. And now the school improvement plan is created by the principal with the council's discussion, with their inputs. Okay, did I disappear for a while?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw all of you disappear and I'm like, that's not all of them, it's me. Okay, so one of the roles of your council after you've reviewed your school-wide data is to help the principal create the teacher and student success plan, which also sometimes is called the school improvement plan.
Really good.
I'm going to mute everybody again. Hold on. Participants. Okay, Karen, if you want to unmute yourself, that's awesome because then that way I can know what's going on. Okay, so now I'm closing the participants. So the council used to come up with the school improvement plan, and now the council consults with the principal after reviewing that data to come up with the goals for the teacher and student success plan. So those goals should be academic goals. After that, the council creates a school land trust plan. This is not something that the principal or the staff does by themselves. This is something that the council does all together. They create a school land trust plan using that data that they've reviewed and the critical academic needs that they've identified, and it has to support goals from your teacher and student success plan. So then the council will monitor the implementation of the plan to see if the plan is successful. So you don't want to continue to spend money on something that isn't working. And the way you monitor that is you take your school land trust plan and it has measurable goals. And each year you look at that measurable goal to see if you're meeting it. And if you are, then your plan is successful. If not, you may need to change something up. You may need to implement something better. You may need to change one of your expenditures, but make sure that your plan is successful. Now, this is how you make sure your plan is successful. And the first step is by writing a measurable academic goal. So the first thing you need to do is select the academic area, and that's something that we just talked about. You do that with the data. Then you set an academic goal. With that academic goal, there needs to be a measurement and an action plan. And mirroring that action plan are the expenditures for the plan. So let's take a look at how this works. This is Bonneville Junior High's goal, and they're implementing it this year right now. So their goal is academic. It's for reading, mathematics, and writing. And I need to move this down so I can see. Okay. Okay, so their goal is to increase the number of students reaching average proficiency by 10% when comparing pre and post semester benchmark results. That is a measurable goal. They've said what they want to increase, they've said by how much they want to increase it, and they've even talked about the benchmark. The measurement for this goal is where they will explain how they're going to tell if it's successful. And they've mentioned that before up top, right? That they're going to compare pre and post semester benchmark results. But in the measurement section, they say that they are going to administer the school district pre and post tests at the beginning of the first semester. And that at the end of the first semester, the results will show a 10% average improvement in the number of students who have been proficient. So that's something that you can tell immediately if it's made a difference. The next step is to create the action plan. And this is how they're going to do it. The action plan is usually a list. This one has a lot of information in it, but just remember your action plan needs to mirror your expenditures. So in the action plan steps, they talk about the ways they're going to use the money. If you look at action plan step number 2, they're going to fund paraprofessional aides. They're going to create classes. Action plan step number 3, they're going to provide after school tutoring. So all of these things are things that they're going to do with the items they purchase with the School on Trust money. And then here's their expenditures. Their expenditures say, okay, we said we were going to do teacher salaries for additional classes, after school tutoring. We said we were going to do paraprofessional aides. So that's how much we're going to spend on salaries and benefits. And then we also said that we were going to do professional development. So this shows how much we're going to pay for professional development. That makes it so that you can tell if your goal has been implemented, if you've purchased the things you said you were going to purchase, and if your goal is effective. So every school is required to have information on the school website. And the reason that schools are required to have information on the school website is so that parents who aren't currently involved with the council have an opportunity to know what the council is doing and understand how they can get involved. So I'm going to click right here. And it should take me to this school. It's going really slow. Okay. Share. Okay, so can you guys see? Okay, here's the website for Valley Junior High. It's a junior high in the Granite School District. The reason Valley Junior High's website is so great is because their principal used to be a district contact for this program and used to train people in this School and Trust program district-wide in his previous district. So you get to the school website and it has a community council page. The requirements for the community council page include the council member names, so let's see if those are there, with their contact information. Okay, here they are. The reason the contact information needs to be there is because if a parent wants to contact you to talk about what's happening in the school, you need to be available. Parent members represent parents. School employee members represent school employees. Everyone should be available to listen to the school community and understand what issues they're seeing to take back to the council. So after the council membership, there's a proposed meeting schedule for the year. And here it is. And then there's a report to parents on how the money was spent in the previous year. I'm trying to find that. It might be over on this side. Sorry, I'm really going to find it for us. Okay, here it is. Here's the report on how the funds were spent in the prior year. Really, this is just the final report for the year. It can also be just a summary. This is how much money we received this.
Froze. You froze again.
Natalie, you cut out again.
Yeah, I just text her to let her know that she's frozen. Thank you guys for being patient. This is not the easiest thing to do for us.
Karen, if people
Yes.
will shut off their video, it will stop pulling from her bandwidth.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm more than happy to stop my video.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm back. I'm so sorry about that. Really, no one else is on my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on.
Natalie,
Yes.
there's a person that made a suggestion that everyone stop their videoing, and it would that would help you so wouldn't get frozen.
That's
So-
a great suggestion. Everyone, if you know how to do it, turn off your video. And then that way we'll be able to figure out how to keep me going. And I apologize for this. So another thing that needs to be is, after we talked about the council minutes, the agenda for the next meeting. So here they are with their meeting schedule. Now here it says next agenda, but their agenda is actually here where the minutes will go for their next meeting. So they've got an agenda. They've got their teacher and student success plan right here. You can download a copy of that. And then you can see how the school land trust plan works with the teacher and student success plan. There's an opportunity for parents to participate. And there is also a list of how much money has been received each year. And if you look, this school's amount has gone up pretty substantially over the last 5 years. After that, there also needs to be the rules of order and procedure. Those are the things that are required to be on your school website. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so after the school website requirements, I want to tell you other things that the council is responsible for. So we know the council is responsible to consult with the principal on the teacher and student success plan and to create the school land trust plan. Because councils are so effective, the legislature has added other plans that they want councils to either prepare or give input for. These include the school safety plan, the safe technology and digital citizenship plan, and the positive behaviors plan. Now, I want to quickly show you what we have on our website that will help you with your safety plan and your digital citizenship plan. So the first thing we do is we get to our website, and on the homepage, we click the resources button over here. We have an entire page about the responsibilities of the Council for School Safety and Digital Citizenship. We suggest that the school safety and digital citizenship discussions happen at the same time, and we've got a guide here that your council can use to have that discussion. Part of the school safety plan is for the council to look at the school and decide one way that they can make the school safer. They're not looking for you to be like, okay, we need a metal detector. What they're looking for is for the parents and the educators who are there and understand what's going on at the school to be able to say, you know what, our parking lot is a mess. Or, you know what, we need a suicide prevention class. So those are the kind of things that they want the school safety plan that comes from the council to discuss. And there's some ideas right there for that as well. The other plan that is on there is the positive behaviors plan. That's new this year. And that is part of the plan from the legislature to decrease vaping at your school. So make sure that you're consulting with the principal and school staff as they put that plan together. Because again, as school community council members, you're really going to be able to see what's going on in the school. You're going to see the big picture. And because you see the big picture, then you can say, this is what we need for the positive behaviors plan. Someone is not muted, but now they are. Okay, so what's next? Wow, let me go here again. Can you guys still see my PowerPoint?
No.
We can hear you, but we can't see the PowerPoint.
Okay, let me try one more time. Okay, and now I'm going to click here and on my PowerPoint. And let's go to where we were. Oh, that's why it went away, because it's the last slide. So I'm going to close this out, and we're going to go back to just our WebEx information. And then we can take a look in the chat to see if there are any questions or if people have their hands raised. So I'm going to look in the chat first and see what kind of questions we have. Okay. This is everybody telling me that you couldn't hear me, but now you can. I saw a really good question in here. Oh, where can we find where it's who needs to be on the council? So that's a really good question. Where do we find that? So this is where we find it. We go to our website, schools.utah.gov, School Land Trust, and let's go back to the main page. Okay, so here's the main page. And we take a look at information for the councils. There's also training information. So if you go to the council's information, The first page will be about school community councils. It will talk about elections, and it will talk about what needs to happen in the election. In there, it also talks about how many members need to be elected. And again, I said that needed to be in your rules of order and procedure. Right here is a template for your rules of order and procedure so that you can see what kind of things your council should have set in the rules and then approve them every year. Another really great reference for I could just click over here where it says to go back, but I've got my window for the thing on there. So another great place is if you go to resources, and then here's all of the laws and rules that deal with school community councils and the School Land Trust program. These are the rules for the program. So every school has to meet these rules. These are the rules for charter schools, and these are the rules for district schools. So if you look right here on this one, it says school community councils, duties, composition, election procedures, and selection of members. That right there talks about the size of your council. And again, we decided the principal's automatically on your council. You can have as many school employee members as your council chooses in their rules, but then you have to have 2 more parents from all of those. So if you have the principal and 3 council members, 3 educator members on the council, you need 6 parents. Let's go back to the School Land Trust plan should be completed every year. Your district decides that. That is a district date. We have a date that your districts have to have reviewed and approved them by, and that date is May 15th. So you have to have your plan ready. Most of them choose a day in between like March 15th and April 15th, and your principal can tell you what that day is. And if they don't know, they can call us because we can tell you what that day is. But that way, you can have it submitted, it can be reviewed, and your board can approve it. Because remember, everything your council does is advisory to the local board. And so your local board has to approve it. Okay, let's mute everybody again. And then I've got some people here with hands up. So if your hand is up, I'm assuming that means you want to ask a question. So Chantel Olson, I'm going to unmute you to see if you have a question. Chantel, do you have a question?
Oh no, sorry, that was the hand.
That was from before, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Who else has their hand up? Nobody, because you've all seen what I do and hands are up. Okay, let's go back to the chat and see if there are other questions. That's really funny that some Paul Webb said that the board needs to pay more for my Wi-Fi plan. Okay, how are schools completing the final reports without end of year testing from last year? This is new this year. Prior to this year, final reports had to be completed by October 20th. And data wasn't available then to see if things were working. Now we're taking the information that is submitted through the public education finance system and using that to fill in the expenditure information on the final report. And that information is not available till January 15th. So final reports will be available starting January 15th and they'll be due February 5th. So you should have end of year testing from the prior year. But also remember, you don't have to use statewide end of year testing as your measurement. As we saw that other junior high, they used a district assessment and they only did it for 1 semester so they could see the progress that was made. We have other schools that are using, I forgot what it is called now, but it used to be called Dibbles, they're using Dibbles or they're using a school created assessment. And then you have the data right there. If it's something that you want to review, you can do a pre-test and a post-test and use that information with the pre-test as your benchmark and the post-test after. So there are ways of doing it without end of level testing from last year. I just realized that this question is also because we didn't do end of level testing last year. So schools will have to be a little bit flexible for their final reports and see if they can find other assessment data. And as a state, we're going to be more flexible in reviewing the measurements. If your measurement said it was going to be an end of year test and the test results aren't there because of the pandemic, then we're going to go ahead and understand that you may use a different assessment. I hope that answered the question well. It took me a minute.
Just one other follow-up. I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood what you just said. I thought
No,
from
Jennifer,
reading,
thank you.
Oh, I thought from reading the website that we had to post our final report to our website by October 20th.
There
but
needs to be a summary of your final report on your website by October 20th. So that could be, okay, we are, you know, Hillcrest High School, and we received $130,000 last year, and we spent that money on after school tutoring and reducing class size and core subjects, and we improved graduation rates by 2%. So it can be just a statement, like a one paragraph, what you did with the money. And that's something that you should have the information for right now. And that's something that the principal usually does and puts on the website. But if you're not seeing it on your school website, remind your principal that there does need to be a prior year summary. Jennifer, did I ask your question? Because I totally interrupted you like 3 times.
No, it did. But then what was the final summary that you were talking about where the results come out in January and it's due in February?
So that is a really great question. I'm confusing people. So there's a final summary that's on your school website, and then there's a final report that they enter on our School Land Trust reporting website. And then that goes to the local board to approve to see if the plan was implemented the way that it was approved, and also to see if the goals were met. And then it comes to us and we do a quick review for compliance with state law and state board rule. So we just do a quick compliance review. So there are 2 reports, one that's the summary on your website, and that's October 20th, and one that is in our reporting system, which only your principal has access to. And it will be then sent to your local board and to us so that we can see how the plan was implemented and if the goals were met.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
No, thank you for asking a good question. Okay, so where is a good resource for getting parents in the community more involved? I have to apologize because we don't have a lot of great information for getting parents involved. If you come to our website, and again, here's the front page. And then you come over here. I have everything stacked in front of my menu. You come over here to parents. Here is some information about parents encouraging parental involvement. So there's some information here that's translated in English and Spanish so that you can use it with other populations in your school than just the English speaking population. And then we've asked an elementary school, a high school, and a junior high how they improved parental involvement. And so they all have just a little plan. And in our next meeting that starts at 7, and I'm sorry, you have to click on another link to get to our next meeting, but I'll put it in the chat box. At our next meeting, we're going to have a whole discussion with everyone who's participating, and they're going to tell us what's working for them and what's not working for them. Okay. Okay, yeah, here we go. Karen's giving me good hints. Okay, I think that's all of the questions. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and ask a question? We have about 5 minutes left.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Our school didn't have an end of the year testing because of the soft closure. So what report
Yes.
do we need to put on the website instead of that?
So we understand that that's going to happen because that happens statewide with everybody. So what we would like is for the school to be a little bit flexible and say, okay, we said we were going to improve end of level testing rates, but we didn't do that end of level test. But instead we did have this assessment, or instead we did have these grades, or this graduation rate, or something like that, and find another piece of data that you can evaluate to see if what you did was successful, and also
Like
understand that we're going to know, okay, those results weren't there. And so if you don't have them, we're not going to be mad and tell you you have to have them because you don't have them. So there's going to be some flexibility this year in final reporting because of the lack of end of level testing last year.
So if we post the beginning of school test results and then the middle of the school we test again, that would be that would be good.
Absolutely. That is a great idea.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone else want to unmute and ask questions? Okay, I need to copy all of the participants.
Natalie,
Do any of you have questions about how to get Midas credit for this if you're an educator?
I need to know. Yes.
Okay, so so we have a link to the class, and I'm just gonna really quickly find it and go there. So I'll share it as soon as I get there.
Natalie, while you're looking for that, there is one really good question at the end that someone asked was, do they get to keep the funds that weren't spent due to the closures?
That is a great question. And let me tell you, you had a plan last year, and because of the soft closure, it was not able to be implemented all the way sometimes. So if that's the case, then you need to amend your plan this year to add that money in so that you can spend it this year for meaningful school improvement. You don't want to have a lot of carryover from year to year because sometimes that ends up getting kind of lost and you're not sure how much money you have to spend and the students aren't getting the benefit. So ask your principal, if you're the principal, ask your district how much carryover you had last year. And then you can amend your plan to have that carryover be part of this year's plan. So if this year you said you were going to buy 40 Chromebooks, but you have $10,000 left over from last year, you can buy more Chromebooks. Or you can say, you know what, we need tutors. And so we're going to add tutors to the plan. And then you do an amendment. So that's a really good question. Okay, let me get here. And I am going to share my web browser again. Okay, here we go. So here's Midas, and it's just usbe.midaseducation.com. And you can search for this class either by typing the name, fall training, school community councils, or by typing the number. And I've provided the number for you guys on the flyer. It's 58640. So if you do that, then you can search. And when you search, you can say, hey, here it is. I want to take that course. So you click more info. And if you've already taken that course, you can do that as well. And you want to click on whichever section it is that you're going to be in. So here's the first section, which we are today. And if you want to sign up, you can click register.
Oh, dear. Mm. Natalie, it looks like you froze again.
Okay, so in the chat box is the information for the next session, and that session starts at 7 o'clock. Also, I hope that you signed up with your email address as well, because if you did, then we can make sure that you get an evaluation for this class. So we'll see you at the next session. Thank you so much for being with us. Remember, you can email or text, email or message us if you have any questions.